Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, grabbing your coffee, and you just open your laptop.
Just a normal morning.
Exactly, normal morning. You navigate to a single dashboard on your screen.
Okay.
And staring back at you are the metrics for a business generating like $1 million a year in recurring revenue.
Which is incredible on its own.
Right. But here is where the scenario gets really strange. You look around and there is no marketing team drafting campaigns.
No open plan office.
Right. There's no customer support department fielding angry emails from people. Huh? You don't have a commercial lease somewhere.
Yeah.
You don't have a Slack channel filled with, middle managers arguing about KPIs.
No payroll to meet every 2 weeks.
Exactly. No payroll. It is just you, the founder, and this invisible, meticulously orchestrated network of AI agents.
Just running quietly in the background.
Running thousands of tasks a second. Automated systems doing all the execution.
Which, if we wind the clock back even a few years, is pure science fiction.
Complete.
The infrastructure to support that simply didn't exist. Like, you couldn't scale revenue without scaling human coordination.
But today, it's not just possible. It's happening at a staggering rate.
Yeah, the numbers are wild.
They really are. We are looking at a mountain of recent economic data today, and all this analysis on the explosion of solopreneurship.
Specifically tied to generative AI.
Yes, exactly. And what is becoming wildly apparent to us from these sources is that this isn't some fringe movement.
No, it's not a fad.
It is the absolute tip of the spear. We are watching the fundamental rewriting of the rules of entrepreneurship, like in real time.
Yeah. Solo business formations are skyrocketing.
And it's forcing a complete reevaluation of what one single human being can actually accomplish.
It's a structural shift, really, in the physics of business.
The physics of business. I like that.
Well, think about it. We've spent a century building corporate architectures based on this one assumption.
Which is?
That complex tasks require large groups of humans working in specialized silos.
Right. The marketing silo, the dev silo.
Exactly. But now the bottleneck isn't execution anymore.
So what is it?
It's simply the limit of the founder's vision and, their ability to architect systems.
And that right there is our exact mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack the architecture of this AI-powered solo revolution.
It's a massive topic.
It is. We need to answer the crucial question for you listening right now. Are one-person businesses genuinely replacing small teams?
Or is it all just hype?
Right? Are we just looking at another Silicon Valley illusion? The kind that sounds incredible on a pitch deck, but just shatters upon contact with the real market.
There's plenty of those.
Too many. But whether you currently run a 50-person operation or you're building a side hustle, or you are just deeply invested in understanding the future economy.
You really need to understand the mechanics of what is happening here.
Because the economic ground under your feet is shifting.
It really is. And to grasp the magnitude of where we are going, we have to dissect the model we are leaving behind.
The old playbook.
Right. The entire venture capital ecosystem and the traditional startup playbook have relied on a very specific sequence of events for decades.
Okay, let's unpack this. The old paradigm. You find a market gap, you come up with a solution, and then you immediately hit a wall.
The capital constraint.
Yes, you need money. And why do you need money?
Because you need to buy labor.
Exactly. Yeah. So you pitch investors, you raise a seed round, and what does that money actually buy?
It buys headcount.
It buys people. You lease an office, you hire developers, you bring on a marketing director.
You build an HR apparatus just to manage all those people you hired.
Right. And the ultimate metric of success, almost implicitly, it became the size of your team.
Yeah, it was a status symbol.
Totally. If you had 20 employees, you were a promising startup. If you had 300, you were a verified success.
Growth and headcount were just inextricably linked.
Because human capital was the only available mechanism for scaling your output.
Right. If you wanted to ship features twice as fast, you literally needed twice as many engineers.
If you wanted to expand to a new territory, you needed to hire a local sales team.
It was a linear equation, 1-to-1. But the analysis we are seeing now in these sources indicates that the ultimate business metric has decoupled from headcount entirely.
The metric has changed.
Completely. The new metric is leverage.
Leverage. Okay, let's unpack this concept of leverage because I think it gets thrown around a lot without people stopping to understand the actual mechanics.
Yeah, it's become a bit of a buzzword.
So let's define it.
Well, in classical mechanics, leverage is using a tool to multiply your applied force.
Like a crowbar.
Exactly. In this new economic context, leverage is the ability to disconnect your output from your time and your physical effort.
Oh, that makes sense.
Previously, achieving high leverage meant becoming a manager. You leveraged the time of the people working under you.
You directed their force.
Right. Today, founders are achieving that by substituting human labor with computational labor.
Software instead of salaries.
Exactly. Instead of hiring a specialized team to execute discrete functions, they are stringing together specialized software models.
They are paying API costs instead of full-time salaries.
And they're getting near instantaneous execution.
I look at it this way. The traditional startup model is, it's like building a massive physical factory.
A huge undertaking.
Right. You need to hire the assembly line workers. You need foremen to manage the workers.
You need logistics coordinators to move the raw materials around.
Exactly. And you need a massive physical footprint just to house all of this activity.
The overhead is insane.
But a modern solo business, it's like having an incredibly advanced industrial-grade 3D printer sitting in your garage.
I love that analogy.
You don't need the assembly line. You don't need the foreman. You just need the CAD file.
You just need the blueprints.
The blueprint and the vision. And the machine handles the raw execution of the labor.
And that maps perfectly to the resource allocation we're seeing in the source material.
How so?
The shift is moving from manual coordinated labor to pure editorial oversight.
Okay, wait.
And we aren't just talking about basic administrative automation here.
Right. It's not just sorting emails or like scheduling meetings on a calendar.
No, the data shows AI aggressively absorbing highly complex, creative, and technical roles.
The breakdown of absorbed roles is staggering, honestly. We were talking about the full stack here.
Yeah,
Graphic design, copywriting, complex market research,
customer support architecture.
and deep software development.
This is where that 3D printer analogy becomes very real. A founder is now sitting at the center of a digital control room.
Like a pilot.
Yeah. They can prompt an environment to generate the foundational code for a new web application.
And at the same time,
Have another model simultaneously write the launch copy and optimize it for search engines.
while a third system designs all the user interface assets.
All running in parallel.
But I want to push back on the terminology here for a second. Because saying AI is doing this is almost, I don't know, dangerously reductive.
It oversimplifies it.
AI is the buzzword that smooths over all the actual mechanics underneath.
Right, there's no magic do everything button.
Exactly. The real driver of this massive expansion of leverage isn't just one monolithic artificial intelligence.
It's not one giant brain in the cloud.
It is a convergence of very distinct, highly specialized technologies maturing at the exact same moment.
The convergence theory. That's the only way to accurately model what's happening right now.
Let's talk about that convergence.
Well, if you only had breakthroughs in language models, but no advancements in deployment infrastructure or visual generation, you wouldn't see the solo revolution taking off like this.
Because you just have a really smart chatbot.
Exactly. It requires an entire ecosystem. We are looking at a specific stack of technologies that have interlocked perfectly to replace the traditional organizational chart.
So let's tear down that organizational chart and look at the actual stack replacing it. The 5 pillars from the research.
Let's do it.
The first major shift obviously happened in content and communication generation.
Pillar 1.
Right. The data shows solo operators producing the output of full marketing departments.
It's wild. Complex, multi-touch email sequences.
Dynamic ad copy variations, long-form SEO assets, and they're doing it in a fraction of the time.
And we have to look at how that actually works under the hood. It isn't just a founder typing a simple prompt and copying the output.
Right. They aren't just going to ChatGPT and saying, write me a blog post.
No, they're building retrieval augmented generation systems, RAG pipelines.
Explain that for the listener.
Sure. They feed the models their entire historical brand guidelines, all their past successful campaigns, and highly specific product specs.
So the AI actually knows the context of the business.
Exactly. So the output isn't generic. It's highly context aware.
A solo founder used to spend, 3 weeks drafting a go-to-market campaign.
Easily. And that was 3 weeks of lost velocity.
Now, that same highly customized campaign is generated, refined, and deployed in an afternoon.
Which instantly solves the top-of-funnel problem, getting attention.
Right. But generating all that attention is completely useless if your infrastructure breaks the moment customers actually show up.
Which brings us to pillar 2, the customer support layer.
This used to be the ultimate trap for a solo founder.
Oh, absolutely.
You build a great product, you get 1,000 customers, and suddenly you are spending 10 hours a day just resetting passwords.
And answering the same basic troubleshooting questions over and over.
Which meant you either stopped growing or you hired a support team.
But the customer support architecture has fundamentally changed now.
We aren't talking about those incredibly frustrating, rigid decision tree chatbots from 5 years ago.
Oh, I hated those, where you just click option A or option B.
Yes, press 1 for sales. No, we are looking at dynamic knowledge systems.
These agents ingest the company's entire internal wiki.
Every past resolved support ticket.
And the full product documentation.
So when a customer writes in with a highly specific technical issue, the system isn't just searching for keywords.
Right, it actually understands the semantic intent. It queries the database, and it formulates a bespoke, accurate resolution instantly.
Even while the founder is sleeping.
That's the best part.
You have eliminated the geographical and temporal constraints of running a global business. You don't need a night shift in another time zone anymore.
Exactly. But the content and the support, those are just the outer layers.
Right, the front end.
The true disruption, the one that is fundamentally rewiring the economics of product creation, is happening in development. Pillar 3.
The coding aspect.
Yeah.
If we look back just a few years, the barrier to entry for building a digital product was intensely binary.
You either knew how to code or you didn't.
Plain and simple. If you didn't, you had to find a technical co-founder and give up half your company.
Or you had to raise massive capital to hire a dev agency. The friction was immense.
Development was the ultimate moat.
But the introduction of advanced coding assistants and autonomous software engineers has just evaporated that moat.
Founders with deep domain expertise but limited syntax knowledge are spinning up complex, functional software products.
The models act as pair programmers now.
Scaffolding the architecture, suggesting optimizations, and identifying vulnerabilities in real time.
And for the operators who don't want to touch command lines or source code at all, that brings us to pillar 4.
The visual programming tools, the no-code and low-code environments.
They have reached a level of sophistication that is hard to overstate.
We are seeing founders build incredibly complex internal tools, custom CRMs, and fully functional multi-sided marketplaces using visual interfaces.
You drag, you drop, you connect the logic.
And the platform handles all the underlying database management and server scaling.
This democratization of building is what accelerates the iteration cycle so much.
Right. If a founder wants to test a new feature, they don't have to put it in a Jira ticket.
They don't have to wait for a sprint planning meeting or have a developer build it and then have QA test it.
They just build it themselves in an afternoon and push it live.
The feedback loop between an idea and market reality becomes virtually instantaneous.
Okay, I have to jump in here and play devil's advocate.
Go for it.
We have these incredible tools for writing, for support, for coding, for visual building.
Right.
But aren't these still just tools?
What do you mean?
If I am a solo founder and I have 50 different software subscriptions open in 50 different tabs, I am still the one who has to manually move the data from the chatbot to the CRM.
And from the CRM to the marketing engine?
Exactly. I feel like we were missing the glue here. How does a single person actually orchestrate this without just becoming a frantic data entry clerk for their own software?
That is the crucial bottleneck.
Yeah.
And it's where the transition from AI tools to AI agents, which is our 5th pillar, comes into play.
AI agents.
This is the difference between having a very smart hammer and having a robot that knows how to frame a house.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A tool is passive. It waits for your input. An agent is autonomous.
Meaning it runs on its own.
It has a goal. It has memory. And most importantly, it has the ability to use other tools.
Give me a tangible breakdown of how that autonomous loop actually operates in a live business.
Let's look at a modern solo operation. The founder doesn't use single interfaces. They build interconnected workflows using APIs and webhooks.
Okay.
Let's say the system monitors the broader web for specific buying signals. Maybe someone on a niche forum complaining about a problem the founder's software solves.
Just scraping the web for leads.
Right. That monitoring agent detects the signal. It automatically triggers a secondary research agent.
Which does what?
which scrapes that user's public profile to understand their specific context. That data is then fed to a third agent, which drafts a highly personalized, contextually relevant outreach message.
And it does all of this without the founder ever clicking a button.
Precisely. It drafts the message, logs the entire interaction in the CRM, sets a reminder for a follow-up, and prepares the draft for the founder's final approval.
What used to require a junior sales development rep scraping leads, an analyst researching them, and an account executive writing the email
is now an invisible, instantaneous pipeline executed by agents talking to other agents.
The tools are the instruments, but the agents are the actual musicians playing in sync.
That is exactly it.
I get the theory. It's beautiful in the abstract. But let's ground this in reality for a minute. How does this theoretical stack translate into an actual breathing, profitable company?
If we want to look at the bleeding edge of this, we have to look at the operators who have been pushing these limits for years.
Like Peter Levels. He's the famous example from the research.
Peter Levels is a prime example of the extreme solo model.
Right. He is essentially the patron saint of this movement.
He really is.
He's been running a portfolio of highly profitable, high-traffic digital businesses for years, notoriously operating with virtually no full-time staff.
And he was executing this asynchronous, highly automated playbook before the current generative AI boom even started.
He proved the underlying thesis, that digital distribution combined with aggressive automation could decouple revenue from headcount.
But the current analysis shows that the frontier he explored is now becoming a heavily populated settlement.
Other people are moving in.
The new extremes are pushing far beyond early automation. We are seeing founders hitting massive recurring revenue milestones by combining those exact pillars we discussed.
The AI development, visual programming, and agentic workflows.
Yeah, it requires a massive psychological shift in how you view your own role in a company.
Going back to my movie director analogy from earlier.
Let's hear it.
In the old days of bootstrapping a business, the founder was the person holding the boom mic.
Literally doing the heavy lifting.
Right. Then they had to sprint over and adjust the lighting rig. Then they had to look through the camera lens, call action, and then jump in front of the camera to act in the scene.
Exhausting.
You were doing all the manual labor, and the final product inherently suffered because your attention was fractured 100 different ways.
You were the bottleneck of execution.
Exactly. Today, the founder is finally just the director. You are sitting in the chair, you are holding the script.
You are the CEO, the lead product visionary, and the strategist.
But you aren't holding the boom mic. The agents are your researchers, your coders, your copywriters, and your data analysts.
You are calling the shots and reviewing the dailies. You aren't doing the typing, you are doing the thinking. What's fascinating here is that the AI isn't replacing people in a vacuum. It is acting as a massive multiplier on the capability of one skilled individual.
Multiplying what's already there.
Yes. It takes a person who already possesses deep domain knowledge and strategic vision and hands them the raw operational capacity of an entire department.
There's a specific enterprise engineering case study we reviewed that puts a hard number on this multiplication effect.
Oh, the output metrics in that study are startling.
Break it down for us.
They tracked an experienced software engineer utilizing a full suite of autonomous coding agents.
Just one person.
One person. This single individual successfully completed a complex architectural project that had originally been scoped and budgeted for a 4-person engineering team.
One individual actively executing the workload of 4.
And executing it faster while drastically reducing the burn rate of the project.
Because they weren't paid for salaries.
Right. The engineer wasn't writing every line of boilerplate code. They were architecting the system, directing the agents to build the scaffolding, reviewing the pull requests generated by the AI, and running automated testing suites.
When you introduce a 4x multiplier on human output, the traditional arithmetic of corporate staffing completely breaks down.
It just doesn't compute anymore.
Which opens up a massive and frankly terrifying question for a lot of people.
I know where you're going with this.
If one engineer can suddenly do the work of 4, or one marketer can do the work of an entire agency, the blast radius of this technology is going to be devastating to certain sectors.
That's the ripple effect.
Right. Which industries are sitting squarely on the fault line of this solo revolution?
Well, the vulnerability is not evenly distributed across the economy. A commercial electrician or a solo plumber is not gaining a 4x leverage multiplier from an AI agent.
You still need a human to fix the pipes.
Exactly. The impact is intensely concentrated in sectors where the primary output is digital and information-based.
The data points to 4 specific danger zones. First, the digital product space.
This is your software as a service, your mobile applications, your online education platforms, and specialized digital communities.
Second, marketing and creative services. The entire ecosystem of content agencies, SEO consultants, and social media management firms.
Highly vulnerable.
Third, professional services, which encompasses a massive swath of consulting, executive coaching, and market research.
And finally, e-commerce operations.
If you look closely at those 4 buckets, the underlying vulnerability becomes very obvious.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what do they all have in common?
They have zero marginal cost reproduction.
They rely entirely on the manipulation and distribution of information.
And their core workflows are highly process-driven.
There are no physical supply chains snapping, no raw materials sitting in cargo ships, and no brick-and-mortar storefronts to staff and clean.
Exactly. When your entire value proposition exists on servers and screens, you are fully exposed to the efficiencies of those 5 tech pillars we discussed.
If the ultimate output of your business is lines of code, paragraphs of text, digital images, or strategic analysis, an autonomous agent can generate, iterate, and deploy that output faster than a human team.
In e-commerce, for instance, we aren't just talking about generating product descriptions.
No, it goes way deeper.
We are looking at autonomous systems that monitor global inventory levels, predict supply shortages, interface directly with supplier APIs to reorder stock,
and dynamically adjust ad spend across multiple platforms based on real-time conversion data.
So for you listening to this right now, this is the moment to audit your own reality.
Take a hard look at what you do.
Look at your daily workflows. How much of your time is spent in these vulnerable buckets?
Are you spending 30 hours a week generating standardized compliance reports?
Are you managing digital inventory spreadsheets?
Are you manually shifting data from a lead gen form into a marketing automation tool?
Because if your primary economic value is tied to digital, process-driven execution, the foundational economics of your role are changing. The ground is moving.
It is a critical self-assessment because the market will aggressively price out manual execution of digital processes.
Okay, let me pause my own enthusiasm here, because it is very easy to fall into the hype cycle.
It really is.
When you hear about a 4x multiplier on engineering output, and you see all these industries ripe for disruption, the narrative quickly becomes, anyone with a laptop and a Wi-Fi connection can stitch together 3 AI agents and build a billion-dollar company by themselves over the weekend.
The one-person unicorn myth.
Exactly. Let's inject some reality in this. What is the dark side, or at least the sobering reality, of this solo revolution?
We have to cut through the noise because the market is currently saturated with hype regarding that one-person unicorn.
The idea that an individual will build a billion-dollar company entirely alone.
Yes. The narrative that you no longer need teams at all to reach the absolute apex of the business world.
Is it theoretically possible in the future?
Perhaps. But if we ground our analysis in current, hard, empirical data, a very different picture emerges.
And this brings us to what I think is the most crucial piece of data we are looking at today, the academic reality.
The massive academic study analyzing over 160,000 recent product launches.
Wait, 160,000? That's a huge data set.
It's an incredibly comprehensive data set. The researchers wanted to see exactly how the influx of generative AI tools impacted the quality and success of new ventures.
And what did they find?
The findings are a profound reality check for the solo maximalists out there.
Okay.
The study clearly showed that AI dramatically lowered the barrier to entry. We saw a massive spike in the sheer volume of solo entrepreneurship.
More people are launching solo projects than at any point in history.
Because suddenly anyone can generate a passable landing page and write an acceptable Python script.
Exactly. It's so easy to start.
But, and this is the critical caveat, when they analyzed the highest quality outcomes, the truly disruptive, highly successful ventures, team-based companies still absolutely dominated the top tier.
Here is where I want to push back, or at least dig into the psychology of this, because it gets really interesting.
Let's dig in.
If this AI is so incredibly powerful, if it's acting like a world-class team of developers and marketers for a solo founder, Why are human teams still winning the championship rings?
It's a great question.
Does AI just lower the barrier to entry so much that we're getting flooded with mediocre products?
Essentially, yes.
It's like if you suddenly give everyone on Earth a highly advanced 3D printer, we don't get a million architectural masterpieces.
No, we just get a global flood of cheap derivative plastic junk.
That's exactly what it feels like.
It's a harsh but highly accurate assessment of the current landscape. We are in an era of unprecedented noise.
Noise is the perfect word for it.
It is trivially easy to use AI to generate a business plan, write functional but uninspired code, and flood social media with generic marketing copy.
Starting a business has never been easier, but building an extraordinary business,
Creating something that fundamentally shifts user behavior or solves a deeply complex problem, that remains incredibly difficult.
it's the difference between starting and winning. Starting is a commodity now. Winning is still an extreme outlier event.
The baseline of acceptable output has been permanently raised.
What do you mean by that?
A solo founder today, heavily leveraging AI, can easily produce the equivalent output of a mediocre, uninspired 5-person team from a decade ago.
Right. They can do average work very fast.
But an extraordinary team of 5 human beings, utilizing those exact same AI tools, will outmaneuver, out-innovate, and outcompete the solo founder every single time.
Because they aren't just adding computational power, they are compounding human ingenuity.
Exactly. AI lowers barriers to entry, but it does not automatically create an extraordinary business.
So if winning is still brutally hard and cohesive human teams are still taking the top spots, we need to define the gap.
The unautomatable human advantage.
Yes. What exactly are those high-performing human teams doing that the solo AI founder, sitting alone in their digital control room, is missing? Where does the machine break down?
This forces us to define the boundaries of automation.
The 5 human domains from the text.
Right. The analysis points to 5 highly specific, intertwined domains where AI fundamentally struggles.
And where human teams derive their ultimate competitive edge. Let's list them. Trust, relationships, negotiation, creativity, and leadership.
Let's dive deep into these domains, because understanding these is essentially the survival guide for the next decade of work.
Let's blend the first 2 together, starting with trust and relationships.
Trust is the foundational currency of all commerce, and it is inherently illogical to a machine.
How so?
An AI can calculate risk probabilities perfectly, but it cannot build intrinsic trust. Why? Because trust requires skin in the game.
Oh, that makes sense. It requires vulnerability.
Exactly. Vulnerability, accountability, and a shared human experience. Customers buy from people.
If I am a CEO and I am signing a $10 million enterprise software contract that could potentially tank my company if it fails, I don't want an automated chatbot assuring me of its uptime guarantees.
No, you want to look a human being in the eye across a table.
I want to know that if this goes wrong, it hurts them too. A machine cannot be held morally or emotionally accountable.
And that shared vulnerability is how long-term business relationships are forged. You don't build a strategic decade-long partnership based on a perfectly optimized email prompt.
You build it through shared history, navigating crises together and understanding the unquantifiable human pressures your partner is facing.
An AI can offer an optimized logistical solution to a supply chain problem, but it cannot empathize with a client who is terrified of having to lay off their staff because of that problem.
Empathy is the glue that prevents relationships from fracturing under stress.
Which leads directly into the complexities of the third domain, negotiation.
I feel like people view negotiation as a math problem. Just 2 sides trying to find the optimal numerical overlap at a Venn diagram.
If that were true, AI would be the ultimate negotiator.
Right. But high-level negotiation is rarely just about the math.
It is a multidimensional game of chess involving human ego, unspoken corporate politics, irrational fears, and long-term positioning.
A seasoned human negotiator knows how to read the tension in a room.
They know when to intentionally lose a minor point to validate the ego of the person across the table,
thereby building the goodwill necessary to win a major structural concession later.
An algorithm can analyze the data of the deal, but it cannot navigate the fragile, irrational human ego required to close it.
The nuance of human judgment is irreplaceable there. Then we hit the 4th domain, creativity.
This is a big one.
And I see a lot of arguments about this. People saying, look at this AI-generated art. Look at this AI-generated novel. The machine is creative. But there's a massive distinction we have to make here based on the research.
AI excels at recombination. It interpolates. Humans create meaning.
Let me repeat that quote because it's profound. AI recombines information. Humans create meaning.
That is the philosophical core of the limitation. Generative models are inherently backward-looking. They are trained exclusively on the corpus of human history.
They are incredibly sophisticated pattern-matching engines.
They can take existing concepts and fuse them together in novel ways.
I use this analogy. An AI can give you 10,000 hyper-optimized variations of a brick.
A brick.
Yeah. It can analyze every brick ever made and give you a red one, a blue one, a stronger one, a lighter one. But the machine has no desire, no internal drive.
Right.
Only a human being looks at a pile of bricks and decides, I am going to build a cathedral because I want to reach the sky.
That's a fantastic way to put it. The machine provides the raw, optimized material. The human provides the soul, the context, and the meaning.
Because meaning is intrinsically tied to culture, lived experience, and a specific point of view.
AI possesses none of those. It can simulate a point of view, but it cannot originate one.
And that lack of origination brings us to the final and perhaps most critical domain: leadership.
People follow people, not algorithms.
You cannot inspire a language model.
More importantly, an automated system cannot inspire a workforce to endure hardship.
Leadership requires painting a vision of the future that resonates on a deep, emotional level.
It requires courage. It requires standing in front of a team when a product launch fails, taking the absolute moral responsibility for that failure, and convincing everyone to try again tomorrow.
A dashboard cannot take responsibility.
Well, it just shows the metrics.
So we have this clear dichotomy. We know exactly what the machines do best, of the fast, scalable, process-driven execution.
And we know what humans do best: building trust, navigating complex relationships, injecting meaning, and leading with courage.
Knowing what machines do best and what humans do best, how should a listener who currently runs a traditional small team react?
That's the practical application of all this.
Right, because the immediate reactionary temptation, especially when you look at the Peter Levels model or the 4X engineering multiplier, is to walk into the office tomorrow, fire 80% of your staff, buy a suite of AI agents, and artificially inflate your profit margins. Do they just fire everyone?
And business experts recommend absolutely against that. Acting on that temptation would be a catastrophic strategic error.
It represents a fundamental misunderstanding of what this technology actually offers.
The goal for an existing business owner is not layoffs. The goal is leverage.
Increase leverage. That's the lesson. If you just use AI to fire your staff, you aren't growing. You are just shrinking your numerator.
You are maintaining your exact current output just at a lower cost basis.
It's a defensive move. It's treading water.
Exactly. It's a race to the bottom of cost cutting. The truly forward-thinking companies are playing offense.
How so?
They are retaining their human capital and arming them with these agentic workflows. They are using the technology to dramatically increase the denominator of their total output.
So how does a team actually execute that transition?
It requires a rigorous company-wide automation audit.
An automation audit, okay.
And this isn't something you hand off to an IT consultant. It requires the people doing the work to analyze their own workflows. You have to ruthlessly filter every daily activity through a specific set of criteria.
I want you, the listener, to do this right now. Mentally walk through your work week. Ask yourself these questions from the text. Which of your tasks are highly repetitive?
Which tasks follow a strict, unchanging set of rules or processes?
And crucially, which tasks consume massive amounts of your time without actually creating net new value for the business?
That last question is the ultimate trap. Administrative busy work feels productive, but it is entirely hollow.
Give me an example.
If you are a highly paid analyst spending 4 hours every Friday morning exporting CSV files, cleaning up the data columns so they align perfectly, and pasting them into a slide deck just to email it to your department head.
I know so many people who do exactly that.
Right. That is consuming time without creating value. An interconnected AI workflow can execute that data pull, format the presentation, and send the email in roughly 6 seconds with 0 errors.
Which raises an important question. What could your team achieve if they weren't bogged down by administrative busy work?
What does that highly paid analyst do with those 4 reclaimed hours?
The goal of the automation audit is not to eliminate the analyst's job.
No, the goal is to eliminate the robotic portion of the analyst's job so they can spend 100% of their cognitive energy on the unautomatable human domains we just mapped out.
You want your humans doing human work. You want them focused on judgment, relationships, and decision-making.
Imagine a traditional B2B sales team. Historically, a massive percentage of their week is eaten up by manual data entry.
logging calls into Salesforce, drafting generic follow-up emails, researching prospect backgrounds on LinkedIn, and fighting over scheduling times.
Now imagine that same team armed with AI agents that handle all of that autonomously. The CRM updates itself based on call transcripts.
Follow-ups are drafted dynamically based on the specific objections raised in the meeting.
Background dossiers are generated instantly before the call begins.
That sales team is suddenly unleashed. They aren't spending 40% of their week doing data entry.
They are spending their entire week looking clients in the eye, building long-term trust, navigating complex enterprise negotiations, and closing revenue.
Their personal leverage, and therefore the company's leverage, goes through the roof.
And that is how a 10-person company achieves the operational output and the market dominance of a 100-person company.
They don't have fewer people doing the work. They have the same amount of people doing exponentially more valuable work.
That's the true power of this shift.
So if businesses start adopting this playbook, this integration of high-leverage agentic workflows and a hyper-focus on human value, what is the global business landscape going to look like in the near future?
The next 5 years.
Yeah, we aren't talking about science fiction a century from now. We are looking at near-term predictions.
The consensus analysis points to the business landscape fracturing into 3 very distinct dominant structural models.
3 categories. Let's outline them. Category 1 is what we started this entire conversation exploring, the solo empires.
One person, heavy automation, distributing digital products or highly scalable media to a global audience.
This category will experience explosive volume growth. The sheer number of million-dollar single-operator businesses will be staggering, simply because the barrier to entry has been atomized.
A motivated person with deep niche expertise can scale their knowledge globally with near zero overhead.
But tying back to the academic study we discussed, while they will capture significant niche wealth, they will rarely be the entities solving the most complex, systemic global problems.
Which pushes us directly into category 2, lean teams.
The lean team model.
We are talking about highly cohesive groups of maybe 5 to 20 people, but they are operating with an infrastructure heavily enhanced by AI.
And the text notes this may become the dominant model in the new economy.
The lean team is the ultimate hybrid. They possess the speed, the agility, and the low overhead of a solo founder, but they have the collaborative bandwidth, the diverse creativity, and the relationship-building capacity of a major enterprise.
A 12-person startup in 2030 will have the engineering output, the marketing reach, and the customer support infrastructure of a 500-person corporation from 2015.
They will be incredibly dangerous competitors to slow-moving legacy companies, highly productive.
It's the ultimate sweet spot. You have enough humans to generate meaning, build trust, and maintain culture, but not so many that you drown in bureaucratic friction.
Exactly.
And then we have category 3, which I find the most fascinating because it almost feels like a rebellion against the technology, the human-centric companies.
These are the organizations where trust, service, expertise, and relationships are the actual competitive advantage.
We are talking about specialized boutique consulting firms, high-end creative agencies that rely on distinct artistic points of view, complex wealth management for family offices,
and specialized healthcare providers. They will undoubtedly use AI in the back office to handle their billing, their compliance, and their logistics.
But their front-facing value proposition to the market is fiercely human.
Their marketing message is essentially, you are paying a premium specifically for our human judgment, our lived experience, and our unsimulated empathy.
So when we synthesize these categories to reveal the ultimate truth from the text, what is the final analysis?
The overarching truth is that the winners in this impending economic cycle will not be determined by who accumulates the most artificial intelligence.
It's not just about having the most AI.
No, it is not an arms race to see who can buy the most software subscriptions or fully automate their company first. The victors will be the organizations, whether that organization is a single founder or a lean team, that most elegantly and effectively combine human judgment with machine efficiency.
Human judgment driving machine efficiency. That is the new formula for scale. So, to completely summarize this grand deep dive's core message, the real story here isn't a battle of solos versus teams.
That's a distraction.
It is. The real story is that the fundamental economics of entrepreneurship have changed forever. Money, staff, and infrastructure used to be the barriers.
The historical gravity that held businesses down.
Exactly. You needed permission from gatekeepers to acquire the resources necessary to even try. Today, those barriers have fallen. One highly motivated person, armed with a clear vision and a coordinated system of AI agents, can spin up an infrastructure that rivals the output of an entire corporate department.
The democratization of capability is absolute. The cost of execution is trending toward zero.
But, and this is the final human element you have to internalize, success still relies entirely on the elements of the human condition that cannot be compiled into code.
Vision, judgment, trust.
Yes, solving real problems. The machines will write the software architecture, they will deploy the marketing campaigns, they will optimize the supply chains, and they will answer the support tickets. But a machine cannot automate vision.
An algorithm cannot automate moral judgment.
The language model cannot automate trust. And no amount of artificial intelligence can automate the fundamental, gritty human willingness to look at a chaotic world and decide to solve a painful problem for another human being.
Paradoxically, as the execution of work becomes completely commoditized by technology, those deeply human, unquantifiable skills will become the most scarce and valuable assets in the economy.
Which leaves me with a final, slightly provocative thought. I want you, the listener, to mull over or explore on your own.
What's that?
Well, we started this deep dive imagining a massive business run by a single person and a humming server of AI agents. But if the cost of building a product, the cost of writing code, and the cost of providing a service all drop to near zero thanks to AI, does the ultimate currency of the future business world simply become human empathy?
That is a fascinating paradigm shift.
If machines are capable of doing absolutely everything else perfectly, maybe the simple act of genuinely caring about a customer's actual problem becomes the ultimate luxury good.
As technical execution becomes cheap and ubiquitous, true human connection becomes the ultimate premium.
Something to think about the next time you find yourself manually formatting the columns on a spreadsheet.
Definitely.
Thank you to our expert for helping us pull apart the mechanics of this massive shift. And thank you all for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the systems around you, keep exploring what's possible, and we will catch you next time.